The Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference is coming to Dallas, Texas, February 16, 17, and 18 in 2018. If you know of a better way to get the latest insider knowledge about crypto, to hear directly from the top minds in this field, to interact personally with 800 fellow crypto lovers, hodlers, investors, miners, traders, developers, and founders, then I'd like to hear about it. If you don't, then you don't want to miss out. Register today for the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference. Go to bitcoinsuperconference.com and register today as a super early bird to get the lowest rates on tickets and hotel rooms. That's bitcoinsuperconference.com.
Welcome to Almost Here, Round the Corner Future Technology podcast with Richard Jacobs. Future technologies poised to transform our lives for better or worse are the focus of this podcast. Almost here means these technologies are now here and starting to be used, or just around the corner, from Bitcoin to artificial intelligence, 3D printing, blockchain, virtual reality, and more.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Future Tech Podcast. My name is Chris Amsler, and our guest today is Jordan Earls with Qtum, independent blockchain with smart contracts and Internet of Things and mobile solutions. How are you doing today, Jordan?
I'm pretty good.
Good. Tell us more about Qtum.
You kind of, gave the one line. So we're a public blockchain that is really focused on bringing, smart contracts and decentralized applications to mobile and IoT kind of use cases. And we do that currently using the Ethereum virtual machine. So that, if you have a smart contract on Ethereum, then it's very easy to use Qtum.
Excellent. What's a use case for a mobile device that you're currently working on?
The big thing is that, this year we're planning on releasing a thing that we're calling the X86 VM. And basically it allows you to write smart contracts in C++ and Go and all the mainstream programming languages. But the big thing is that with that, it'll be much more efficient to run smart contracts on mobile devices and IoT devices. But also, we already, we use a protocol called FPV, which basically if you have a Bitcoin wallet on your phone right now, you're probably already using that protocol. And basically, we've extended it to where it can work for smart contracts. And so using that kind of technology, we're able to basically bring smart contracts to mobile devices without you having to trust some third party.
Oh, okay. So that increases the speed of everything as well.
Yes.
Okay. What do you see in the future of that smart contract integration right now?
In the future, I think that one of the big advances that we're going to see is beginning to add governance into the smart contracts and decentralized applications. Right now, everything is kind of, either it's not governed at all and, it's just using the founders have all control or whatever. But I think we're getting to the point where we're kind of needing to move past that to where there can actually be a governance system in place for a lot of these decentralized applications that we're seeing.
Do you see more of that governance and regulation aspect kind of being the main story this year?
I think that, as well as, kind of what we're trying to do with this whole X86 VM stuff, and that's basically, bringing mainstream languages and tooling to the smart contract ecosystem and hopefully, providing some stability because, it's such a new space. And, we've already seen tons of problems where people have lost hundreds of millions of dollars by some random bug or whatever. And I think at this point, what we need is, stability over just shiny new toys to play with.
Agreed. Yeah. So with X86, what separates that from other competitors right now?
The main competitor is kind of what Ethereum and I think also EOS is doing, and that is the WebAssembly. And basically, WebAssembly is still very immature. I honestly think it's a very exciting technology, but it's not ready for prime time yet, and maybe in a few years. But the other problem with WebAssembly is that it's formed by by a committee of different companies. And currently, all of those committees are browsers. There's no smart contract representation that's on that committee, guiding them on how to make this whole WebAssembly technology work, not just for browsers and JavaScript, but for smart contracts and blockchain. So I think that will be a problem eventually, even though we're not seeing any problems with it yet.
Okay. So decentralizing that aspect will open things up. So it seems that at our current state, the larger corporations or companies are realizing that the technology, of course, is here to stay. So they're getting kind of a foothold in it. But in the case of WebAssembly, it appears that that's already the case. So decentralizing that seems like it's going to give it more access to the people that need to get it done. And so it's not just one operating in kind of one guided frame, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, like the problem that is that currently it's not decentralized at all. It's all designed around a centralized committee. And sure, the code is open source. You can do whatever you want with it. But if you have to make big changes because, like browsers introduce some feature that's completely incompatible with the concept of smart contracts, then you're going to have to maintain your own separate version of WebAssembly that's a little bit different. And it kind of breaks that whole compatibility story of, being able to write code that runs in your browser and then write it for smart contracts at the same time. But anyway. Okay.
So you have X86 going. What future plans are there for this year for Qtum?
Yeah, I mean, we have this whole X86 thing, and that's really going to, go a little bit beyond just, writing smart contracts in modern, stable languages, but also, it opens up that hiring pool where, you can hire that senior developer that has 20 years of experience in C++, and he doesn't have to learn some crazy new technology that he's not used to. And then we're also working on basically a Lightning network that kind of combines some smart contract and governance technology, and that'll be kind of talked about more in our second white paper that's kind of coming with that. And then we're also going to be working on a Qtum Enterprise Alliance and basically an enterprise version of Qtum that, companies can configure and everything for their exact needs and be able to set up a permissioned blockchain, in minutes that's production ready, rather than something just for testing or, you have to make some vast number of changes to get it to be production ready, basically. Okay. And yeah, that's pretty much our big plans for 2018.
When do you see the release for the Lightning Network?
We're not sure yet. Probably would be in the realm of like late 2018. And for X86, we want to have a prototype sometime like mid 2018. Okay. Like, a prototype that people can start using and testing, and, the early adopters that want to try out this technology and give us valuable feedback.
Very good. And the Enterprise Alliance, is that going to be later in 2018 or?
Yeah, that's late 2018, probably early 2019 to be more realistic.
Okay. Yeah, well, very good. What is it that, just a little bit about your background, what got what led up to your joining Qtum?
Yeah, so so basically I was so first of all, I'm a self-taught computer programmer. I began basically as a hobby whenever I was 13, and I didn't go to college or anything for it. I just kind of made a name for myself with, being able to write code and doing all that. And in about 2013 or 2014, it was whenever Dogecoin was making the news, was when I kind of entered the whole Bitcoin ecosystem. Like basically I started mining Dogecoin, got involved in the community, started looking into the technology, and was just kind of hooked on it, And from there, I went to basically start reviewing the code that makes some of these cryptocurrencies work. And at the time, it was like 2014, and there were just a ton of scams. It was like kind of the first real altcoin bubble and everything. And so every scammer was trying to cash out on it, basically. And so I reviewed the coins and would, confirm that their announcement actually matches what the code says. And I spotted like quite a few different malicious projects that way, and reviewed over 100 coins in total. And then to get to Qtum finally, basically it was 2016 and mid 2016, and Mike, a friend that me and Patrick had in common. I didn't know Patrick at the time, but he kind of contacted me and was like, "Oh, I got this guy who wants to build a project, and he's based out of China." And at the time it was like every scam was coming out of China, it seemed like. So I immediately just thought it was a scam. But me and Patrick talked for several weeks over Skype and other ways of communicating, and basically he kind of, once I finally grasped his vision of this blockchain that he was wanting to build, basically proof of stake and Bitcoin transaction model and Ethereum-based smart contracts, like putting all that together in one project, I understood that how powerful of a platform that could be. And so basically I came on as a co-founder, and there's two other co-founders, and that's Patrick Dye and Neil Mahi. And that's kind of how we got started. And we had a crowd sale in March that was successful, and then we released our main network in and that was March 2017. Then we released our main network in, I think it was September 2017, and we've always hit all of our deadlines that we've set for ourselves so far.
Excellent. What do you, for the future beyond 2019, what do you see with Qtum?
Probably a lot of focus on off-chain transactions, advancing this kind of Lightning network that we're designing now, and also adding more virtual machines that are tuned to specific industry use cases. And, of course, going forward more with the enterprise and permissioned version of Qtum, basically.
Well, any final thoughts before we wrap up today?
I don't really have much. I just think that, the smart contract ecosystem is still like incredibly young. And right now we're just seeing so many hacks and so many bugs and other problems that just lock away hundreds of millions of dollars. And I think probably the most important, urgent issue right now in the whole ecosystem is bringing some stability and something to prevent some of this human error that we keep encountering. And that's kind of what we're hoping to do at Qtum.
Okay. Well, very good. Jordan, thank you so much for joining us today here on Future Tech Podcast. And thank you, everyone, for joining us as well. We will see you next time.
Thank you for having me.
The Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference is coming to Dallas, Texas, February 16, 17, and 18 in 2018. If you know of a better way to get the latest insider knowledge about crypto, to hear directly from the top minds in this field, to interact personally with 800 fellow crypto lovers, hodlers, investors, miners, traders, developers, and founders, then I'd like to hear about it. If you don't, then you don't want to miss out. Register today for the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference. Go to bitcoinsuperconference.com and register today as a super early bird to get the lowest rates on tickets and hotel rooms. That's bitcoinsuperconference.com.
You have been listening to Almost Here, Around the Corner Future Technology podcast with Richard Jacobs. Subscribe to this podcast, post a review to discover more future technologies that are poised to transform our lives for better or worse, such as Bitcoin, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, blockchain, virtual reality, and more.